Happy New Year to you. Thank you so much for stopping by. It's been a while we posted on this channel, but we are back and this is going to be our first video for 2025. In today's tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to make a twist knot blouse. So the emphasis of this tutorial is just how to make this twist knot. In order to be able to create a twist knot blouse, you are going to be needing the following measurements, and I'm going to be making use of this nude silk fabric. And here are the materials I'm going to be using. You are going to be seeing the list of these in the description box. Now for your pattern paper, you are going to be needing to in your drafting because we're going to be slashing and we're going to be spreading. So to start with, I indicated my origin line, which is where I'm going to be having my shoulder measurements. After which I went ahead to indicate my blouse length, which is 23 inches in my case, and I added 1 extra inch for my hemming allowance. I just went on to create horizontal lines so that you can see this clearly, and I went on to label. After doing this, I went onto my origin line and I indicated my armhole point, which is going to be my sleeve opening. Now you can decide to bring this lower. This is totally optional. This is totally up to you. After doing this, I'm going to go back to my shoulder line and I'm going to be imputing my shoulder measurement, which is 15 inches divided by 2, 7.5. After doing that, I went on to add my sleeve length, which is 5 inches. Remember that this particular style has this bat wing, this kimono sleeve style. Okay, so I also went on to my armhole point, divided my bust measurement by 4, which is 9.5. I added zero point 0.5 for ease, making it 10 inches. Then I added another zero point 0.5, which is going to be my sewing allowance. Now, after indicating that point, I went back to my shoulder line and I measured the total measurement I have there, and I just went on to my armhole line, which is going to be for my sleeve opening, and I just imputed that measurement there. You are going to understand why I had to do this shortly. So after doing that, I connected both points together and this is what I have. I went back to the origin line and I indicated my waist point, that is shoulder to waist. In my case, is 15.5 inches. And on this point, I'm going to impute my waist round measurement. Also went on to put in my neck width and my neck depth. This is totally up to you. In my case, I used the neck width as 4 inches and the neck depth as 5 inches. Then I also came down by 1.5 inch to create my shoulder slope and I connected this to my neck width point. Now I went to my waist line and I indicated my waist measurement, which is 8 inches plus 0 0.5 for ease. Then that gives me 8.5, after which I'm going to be adding an extra 0 0.5 for sewing allowance. And also went to the hip, divided my hip by 4, and I indicated that point. I also added 0 0.5 inch for ease and another 0 0.5 inch for my sewing allowance. So I went on to connect my waist to my hemline, as you can see. Then I went on to the original point that I have on my armhole, which is for my bust and my sewing allowance. Then I connected both parts together. Then I'm going to go over to the extreme end. Then I'm going to be creating a curve. This is just to help with that kimono sleeve design. I hope you understand what I'm doing. Now, this is not a blouse that have the normal usual armhole we do have in our regular pattern. Now I'm going to be indicating where I want my twist point to be. In my case, I made use of 17.5. You can decide to use your waist measurement. You can decide to go lower. This is totally up to you. And remember, we're just trying to recreate what we have on display for our tutorial. Then I went on to the hemline. Then I went to the extreme, to the side of the hemline. Then I went up by 1 inch in order to give the blouse that curve that's it's supposed to have. So this is just it about drafting the pattern mainly. So this is the basic pattern we need. And from this point now, we're going to be moving to the next step, which is going to be slashing and spreading. So this twist point, we're going to be cutting through this. We're going to be slashing through it. We will not cut through. Please, you need to pay attention at this point. Before that, I went on to label because labeling is going to help you, especially when you are done slashing and spreading, not to get confused when you are cutting. So I have to turn my pattern the other way. So I'm going to be cutting at on that twist point line. As you can see me, I'm cutting very close to the edge, but I'm not going to be cutting through. Please cut very close to the edge so that you'll be able to open and but don't cut through. And in case you are able to cut through, just use your tape to tape it down back. Now, what we want to create here is an L shape with this pattern. What we are trying to achieve here is to have an angle of 90 degrees, and I just use my pattern master to confirm that I have an L shape there, like angle 90. So after doing that, I went on to tape that down, and the next thing I'm going to do is to create slash lines. Now, the number of slash lines you create depend on the amount of fullness you want and the volume, like the amount of fullness you want and the amount of fabric you have at your disposal. So this is totally up to you. So I ended up creating 4 slash lines in, and I did not use any particular measurement. I just created slash lines, okay, from the lower end of the sleeve opening down to that point, to that twist point. And I went to the lower part of the pattern, and you can see me, I'm creating slash lines too. From that twist point to, I'm creating slash lines. Now, one thing you need to understand is the number of slash lines you create on the upper part must balance with the number of slash lines you are going to be creating on the lower part. You are going to get to understand why we are doing this shortly. So I have 4 lines on the upper part. You can see the beginning of the line, and I have 4 lines on the lower part. So what we're going to do now, we're going to be cutting through, we're going to be slashing these lines very close to the tip, but we're not going to be cutting through. Now you want to be very careful at this point so that not to cut through your pattern. So I just took my time slashing through each lines, as you can see, and just take your time to do this carefully. So this is what I have after slashing through the patterns. As you can see, you need to try to maintain that L point for the center front. Where you have the center front, that L shape must be there, that angle 90 must be there. So this is what I have. I'm going to be bringing my second pattern paper, which is why I told you are going to be needing at least 2 pattern paper. If you have a big pattern paper, you can just divide it into 2. That should be sufficient depending on your body size. So this is it. I've been able to place my pattern paper, my new pattern paper underneath the pattern, and I'm maintaining that L shape. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to be spreading this by 1.5 inches. You can do 2 inches, you can do 2.5, but like I said, the volume, the fullness is totally up to you. So I just went ahead to tape this down 1.5 inch all through, and I went on to do the same for the lower part. Now this is what your pattern should look like after spreading equally by 1.5 inches. So I went down to tape edges together, and I'm just going to go ahead to blend this point on the lower part. So if you have any sharp curve, any sharp points, do well to blend this side together. And on the part where I have the L shape, as you can see, I went on to blend that same side together, and after which I'm going to be cutting. So I just went ahead to place this on my fabric. Please, your fabric should be on fold for the front side. It should be on fold. And I think I forgot to mention that after drafting this pattern before slashing and spreading, I did this off camera. I cut out my back pattern already. So the back pattern is before you slash, before you spread, every other thing is the same. All right, so this is what my front pattern look like. I went on to notch that L point shape, and this is what I'm having at the end of the day. These two pieces what I have. Now this is the two fronts. You are going to be placing them on each other as you can see me do. Please do well to indicate your front and back, and you are going to be making a twist. I hope you saw what I did there. I'm going to do it again for you to see. Now you place the first part, then you're also going to do what? You're going to place the second part. Please make notches to know your front and side. Okay, so I'm going to place it on each other. Then I'm going to create a twist with the second one. So look at the way I'm creating the twists. I hope you get that. So it's going to look like a knot after creating that twist. Now this is what your front part should look like. Now the next thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the right side after creating that twist, then I'm going to flip it to the back to give me the wrong side for both the front and the back. This is what it should look like. I went on for the other side too, and this is what it's giving me. Now you want to go ahead with your pins to ensure that this is properly pinned down so that when you are sewing, you are going to be able to sew properly and everything is going to be well aligned, even very close to the knot. Another importance of pinning is that it helps you see if you need to adjust or readjust any part of this blouse. So I would suggest you pin, not just go to your machine directly and and just start sewing. So this is it after pinning. I've pinned both sides together, and on flipping it, this is what it looked like for the side. I still have a bit opening, so I went ahead to pull that point together closely and also went ahead to put another pin there to make it intact. So this is what it's looking like on the side. Then I'm going to go to the lower part now, and I'm going to make sure the right side is facing the right side, and if what you are doing is correct, then it should be well aligned at the hem. So I went on with my pin also, and I pinned very closely to the knot. You want to take your time to do this and just enjoying the process. So after doing that, I'm going to be repeating the same method for the upper parts. So after doing the upper part, after pinning the upper part, as you can see, this is what the backside is looking like. I'm going to be turning this with my bias. I'm going to be turning the back neckline, and I'm going to be joining it at the shoulder and the body. And here's what the final look is giving me. So this is what the twist is looking like at the front. Then that's the the shoulder, and this is what the back look like. So after putting it on the mannequin, this is what it looks like. I hope you're able to learn one or two from this tutorial. Do well to follow me, do well to like this post, and remember to share to your friends. Thanks so much for watching, and see you in my next video. Bye.